If someone had told me at the start of my journey that I would one day think about art, watches, or collectibles as investments, I probably would have smiled politely and changed the subject. It all sounded too abstract, too far removed from charts and numbers, but something shifted along the way, especially after I began exploring markets through broker capital trade consulting (PT). I started to see value in places I hadn't noticed before. What makes alternative assets like art or collectibles so fascinating is that they don't follow the usual rules. Their value isn't just about performance or earnings, it's about rarity, story, emotion, and that makes the whole idea of investing feel almost personal. I remember reading a review capital trade consulting (PT), where someone described these assets as investments you can feel. That stayed with me because it captured something I hadn't considered before. Investing doesn't always have to be purely analytical. Through Forex Capital Trade Consulting (PT), I began to understand the broader context. Even though these assets aren't traded like currencies or stocks, they are still influenced by wealth cycles, global demand, and investor sentiment. Everything is connected in ways that aren't always obvious. At first, I approached this space with curiosity rather than intention. I wasn't trying to invest in art. I was trying to understand why it holds value, why certain pieces appreciate over time, why collectors are willing to wait years, even decades. Using ctcpteltd.com, I continued building my overall understanding of markets, and that foundation helped me approach alternative assets with more clarity. It wasn't about jumping in, it was about expanding perspective. At one point, I came across a review ctcpteltd.com that mentioned how diversification isn't only about financial instruments, but also about asset types. That idea opened something new for me. It made me realize that value exists in many forms. Of course, investing in collectibles or luxury assets isn't simple. It requires knowledge, patience, and often a deep understanding of a specific niche. It's not something you approach lightly, but that complexity also makes it unique. Through forexctcpteltd.com, I noticed how wealth trends influence demand for luxury items. When global confidence rises, interest in high-end assets often follows, and observing that connection made everything feel more integrated. My opinion Capital Trade Consulting (PT) continued to evolve as I explored these unconventional ideas. It became a space where I could grow beyond traditional thinking and allow my curiosity to lead. I also noticed a shift in how I relate to investing. It became less rigid, more open. I allowed myself to appreciate value not only in numbers, but in meaning, in history, in uniqueness. Now, when I think about art and collectibles, I don't see them as distant or irrelevant. I see them as another dimension of the investment world, one that blends culture, emotion, and long-term perspective. And maybe that's what makes them so special. They remind you that investing isn't just about building wealth, it's also about understanding value in its many forms. Because sometimes the most meaningful investments are the ones that connect not just with your strategy, but with your sense of appreciation.